Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a judge rules that an Arizona man can get survivor benefits from a same-sex partner he married in California. Also tonight, find out about efforts to get the NCAA Final Four in Phoenix, and we'll see how apps can help you manage and monitor your weight. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. A federal judge ruled Friday that Arizona must recognize the marriage license of a same-sex couple married in California. Here to tell us much more about this case is attorney Dan Barr of the law firm Perkins Coie. Barr is representing the surviving spouse in the case. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me here.
Let's get this was an emergency order from the judge, but before we get to what the judge decided and why it was an emergency order and what that means, talk to us about this couple.
Well, George Martinez and Fred McGuire were two people in the Air Force, served in the Vietnam era. They met in Tucson in 1969, and they had a 45-year relationship, living in the Tucson area, eventually living in Green Valley. Recently, George started suffering from cancer. It was cancer that was he got from being exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam. And the cancer became very aggressive, pancreatic cancer in particular. And when it became so aggressive that it was clear that he was going to pass away, we decided to move for an emergency order to get the judge to declare that their marriage was valid under Arizona law. I should back up a little bit. They went and got married earlier within the year after the Windsor decision was decided. Before the Supreme Court decided the Windsor case, they saw no point to getting married because neither the federal government or the state of Arizona would recognize their marriage. When gay marriage became legal in California, they went there and they got married and celebrated their wedding there.
And by celebrating their marriage in California, obviously applies to California. Come to Arizona, doesn't apply here. Talk to us about now the legal aspects of all this.
Well, after the Windsor decision, they were able to get federal benefits,
yes,
even living in Arizona. They became plaintiffs in the case challenging the Arizona same-sex marriage ban. And when it became clear that George was failing, we filed for a temporary restraining order seeking the court to immediately recognize their marriage as valid. For several reasons. One, for the dignity of both George before his death, and if he didn't survive, for Fred to get a death certificate listing him as George's spouse.
Indeed, and did not want it to say no surviving spouse on that death certificate.
Correct. I mean, he wanted an acknowledgement of a 45-year relationship.
And also, as far as benefits, Social Security and veteran benefits, now this couple has a home had a home. I think they still
in Green Valley.
In Green Valley, and that obviously would be in jeopardy without those benefits.
Correct. Now, the court hasn't ruled that he gets those benefits, but he can now apply for those benefits. There's an argument that he's not entitled to them because they weren't married long enough, and then they'll bring a constitutional claim saying, well, it was pointless for us to get married beforehand.
Right. Okay, so the state, their side of the case, they say that this is an unfortunate situation regarding these two gentlemen, but there was no irreparable harm and thus no need for emergency order. What did the judge say to that?
Well, the judge rejected that, saying that the affront to Fred's dignity was an irreparable harm, and the denial of a constitutional right is an irreparable harm.
And the state also argued that the real harm was to the state and to the sanctity of marriage. Again, the judge's response
Well, again,
to
the
that.
judge rejected that, first of all, saying that the state's law is discriminatory, and second, saying just merely recognizing this one marriage could not do any harm whatsoever to the state.
Is it unusual, though, for a judge to just rule on something in this one case?
No, it's happened in several of the same-sex marriage cases throughout the country, and usually in circumstances like this where someone is dying or has died and immediate relief is necessary. I mean, in Fred McQuade's case, I mean, he not only is suffering the loss of his spouse and 45-year partner. But Fred is in pretty bad physical condition as well. He has advanced Parkinson's and really needs the court to step forward now, and he can't really afford to wait for 9 months from now when the U.S. Supreme Court may decide this issue.
And so what happened as soon as the judge made this order?
Fred went down to Tucson and got a death certificate issued. It took 5 hours for the state of Arizona to do it, but eventually he got a death certificate issued shortly before 5 p.m. on Friday.
And it's interesting, the same judge, obviously again, this applies to this couple and none others, but this same judge is looking at Arizona's marriage law in total, correct?
Correct. And he made pretty clear where he's going to go. I mean, I'll just say, this is from the opinion. The court has not yet decided whether there's a conflict between Arizona law and the Constitution, but the court has decided that it is probable that there's such conflict, so Arizona will be required to permit same-sex marriage.
Right. And
so, the handwriting's on the wall.
Okay, with the handwriting on the wall, tell us a timetable to read that handwriting or to write that particular.
Well, a week ago, the Ninth Circuit heard oral argument in 3 same-sex marriage cases, one from Nevada, one from Idaho, and one from Hawaii. And the Ninth Circuit will probably have an opinion out, I would guess, by the end of the month. That opinion will apply to all the states in the Ninth Circuit, of which Arizona is a member. I would imagine at that point, Judge Sedgwick, who is handling the 2 same-sex marriage challenges here in Arizona, will follow that opinion. You can see from the opinion he issued on Friday, he's already there. And I expect the Ninth Circuit will also rule that same-sex marriage bans are unconstitutional.
So basically the Ninth Circuit will have these bundle of cases.
Right.
These 3 cases will be bundled together, and the Ninth Circuit will make this. And when were we suggesting this is?
Well, the oral argument was last Monday, and the way that these cases are moving so quickly, I expect the Ninth Circuit will probably have an opinion by the end of the month, early October, maybe within the week. I mean, the Seventh Circuit recently issued an opinion 9 days after having oral argument in the same-sex marriage challenge regarding the Indiana and Wisconsin cases.
Now, what are the odds of this particular case actually going to Ninth as well, and then one of these cases, perhaps this one, perhaps as a bundle, goes off to the Supreme Court?
There are already 3 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. There's a case from Utah, there's a case from Virginia, and there's a case from Oklahoma. Those cases have been fully briefed. I should back off. The reply briefs are due, I think, within a few days, and the Supreme Court will probably decide as early as September 29th whether to grant the cert petitions. If it does it at that time or at a later conference in early October, those cases will be heard late this year, early next year, and the Supreme Court will have a decision sometime probably late June.
And we've talked a lot about the Supreme Court on the program. We do with Paul Bender, Professor Bender, and we do with you and others. It sounds as though this is obviously a Kennedy court, and what Kennedy decides usually swings things one way or the other. It sounds like prior to this now, if past history is proof of future performance, he seems to side with gay marriage, gay rights.
Well, Justice Kennedy has written all 3 gay marriage opinions by the Supreme Court. He wrote the Romer opinion, he wrote the case out of Texas, and he wrote the Windsor case. In writing the Windsor opinion, once that was set out, that's set off all these federal courts from all over the country striking down the gay marriage ban. So the issue has now been put squarely in front of him, and nobody has any illusions that's going to be Justice Kennedy who decides whether the gay marriage bans survive or not.
Last question on this, and we're trying to get someone on, and we're working on that to get the other side. But as far as the other side is concerned, are we seeing state attorneys general showing up for these cases? Or what is the other side arguing?
Well, they're sort of running out of things to say, and at the Ninth Circuit last week, none of the attorney general's offices for those 3 states actually appeared to give argument. It's all these private religious groups, and the same thing happened here in Arizona, where the Attorney General's office is nominally involved in this case, and they had a lawyer show up at the argument, but the briefing is being done by this group, the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a Scottsdale group, and they were doing the oral argument. And I think it speaks for itself when the Attorney General's offices are not actively defending these marriage bans.
Real quickly, last question. As far as the Supreme Court case, if it gets to the Supreme Court, will it be a states' rights issue? Will it be a personal liberty issue? What?
Well, it's going to be an equal protection issue. It's going to be substantive due process. I mean, I'm sure the side seeking to defend the same-sex marriage bans are going to be arguing states' rights issues.
Okay. Dan, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Phoenix is among 8 finalists to host the NCAA Men's Final Four basketball tournament sometime between 2017 and 2020. NCAA officials will be visiting Phoenix later this month as they make their final decision. Tom Sadler, President and CEO of the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, joins us now to talk about that effort. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you.
What is the NCAA actually looking for when they look at a site?
Well, when they come out, we have in the earlier process of this bid proposed to them a number of different venues throughout the valley. Remember, this just isn't a 2-day event where they play the semis on Saturday and the championship game on Monday. There's a lot of different things that happen associated with this event. So we want to take them around and show them the areas in downtown Phoenix. There's a music festival they want to have staged. We were thinking about either Phoenix or in Tempe. So basically, we're just going around to the various venues that we pitched in our proposal to say, here's what we think we ought to do.
Now, there was a pitch as well back in 2008, and that was rejected. Why was that rejected? What's changed?
Well, I think a number of things have changed. One, I think the vitality of the downtown Phoenix area has changed quite a bit. See, one of the things that they're very interested in having is a campus where they can put on their events, where it's very convenient for the student athletes and the fans and the coaches, administrators, to be able to get around and enjoy all the things they bring to your city. Admittedly, we're a little bit challenged in that we have the downtown Phoenix area as sort of the hub of everything, yet the competition is in Glendale. So I think we've done a better job this time around in our bid by virtue of the fact that downtown Phoenix has been built out, and that we've really been able to shrink the footprint to say, all this activity can happen here, yet the competition's out here, and both will work in complement to each other.
And indeed, I seem to remember back in the old days, 2008, that there was a little bit of concern that there was a disconnect between the cities, that everyone wasn't on the same page. Did that happen back then?
There were some things that were challenges back then. I'm not sure that was the reason that we didn't get one of the 5 years that we bid on. I can tell you where I sit now. I'm fully confident that everybody's on the same page. And again, this is a collaborative effort. This is ASU's the host school for this. You have to have a host school in order to host or bid on a Final Four and ultimately host. The Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, we own and operate the building. The Arizona Cardinals and the Fiesta Bowl, our building partners, are involved with this. Global Spectrum, our building manager. So we have an overall, what I would consider to be a tremendous collaborative effort that I think we're all on the same page and we're all flying the same flag, and we're looking forward to the NC coming here next week.
Yeah, so no one biting at each other or fussing and fighting anything. About transportation, I think you kind of referred to that earlier, but again, just having the light rail. Biggie?
Oh, it's huge. It really is. And, I can't quote the ridership on it as we sit here right now, but they've asked about that. As I said, one of their cornerstone events is their music festival, that if they do choose to be on Tempe Town Lake, that's an ideal spot because the light rail runs right by there. And you could be down here enjoying the events in downtown Phoenix, and in 10 minutes being downtown Tempe, enjoying that.
Now, the last Final Four in Dallas?
The last Final Four was in Dallas.
Okay. Did you guys go take a look around?
We did.
What did you see? What did you learn?
Well, we learned a great deal. You know, we understand how important it is for that footprint to be as concise as we can make it. We also know that a transportation plan is very important, and we feel like we have our arms around that. So, you know, at the end of the day, we learned that, you know, their preliminary economic impact numbers for bringing an event of that nature to your town, I think their numbers came out preliminarily at like $276 million to that community.
My goodness. And again, Dallas is somewhat similar to Phoenix, is it not, in terms of the lay of the land and how separate and far away things are?
You know, I think our position is that we have a little bit of a leg up on that. I don't think we're quite as spread out as they are. Even in the downtown area, if you wanted to go to the Coaches Convention Hotel in Dallas, you would take a cab to go there. Here, it's a few blocks to walk over to the Hyatt, I think, is where we're going to have it. So I think we're a little more concise in that regard.
And as far as the impact on just simply showcasing the Valley and the Phoenix area, how do you calculate something like that?
Well, you know, I think it's interesting. We need to point out that this February we're going to have a little event called the Super Bowl out at the stadium. A year from now, not, I don't think, widely known, but the city, this collaboration I just spoke of, bid on the College National Championship game, and we're going to host in 2016. That's the new version of the BCS. So the years that we're bidding on this will be for 2017, 18, 19, or 20. We couldn't bid for 18 because we didn't have the hotel rooms. My point being, we could have the trifecta.
Wow.
Where you have the Super Bowl, $500 million economic impact. We know what the BCS championship is, and this one in 2017.
Well, this is kind of an odd question, but would the NCAA like that, in the sense that would they think they would get lost in the hubbub? I mean, it's great to have everything in one spot for us, but did they want something different and exotic and unique?
That's a good question. When we traveled to the NCAA for consulting meetings where we were just going back and forth on our bid, they had questions about it, we had questions for them. We had just received the bid for the College National Championship. I mean, days before. We walked in and they greeted us and congratulations. And not that we didn't have credibility before, but we sure did then. I think the days are gone where they're not going to worry about any kind of community fatigue. I mean, there's a little thing called the Waste Management Open that goes on every year. The Fiesta Bowl's on every year, so that's really not an issue for us, and hopefully we've been able to communicate that to them.
Okay, timetable. When are they visiting? When are they going to make their decision?
They come in September. They come in next Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they're out. And then in November, a small group of us will go to Indianapolis and present in person. And within a few days after that, probably mid-November, we'll know if we got one of those
Wow.
sites, one of those dates.
All right. Well, it sounds promising. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted. Thanks for having me.
A new study finds that using a smartphone app is a better way to monitor dieting than more traditional ways of tracking nutrition. Chris Wharton is an associate professor at ASU's School of Nutrition and Health Promotion. You were behind the study, correct?
Yes.
Let's talk about this study. What apps for dietary self-monitoring? Explain.
That's right. So a lot of health-related apps are obviously populating the marketplace these days. Many of them are related to physical activity and then also dieting. And what we find with the literature is actually that self-monitoring, so tracking your own dietary intake, is actually one of the best tools to help you monitor, find out what you're eating, and then actually manage weight. So we were interested in looking at a particularly popular app called Lose It to see how it would perform in the context of a weight loss trial.
How does Lose It work?
Essentially, it has a very large database of foods, and all you do is sign in and you can track your dietary intake throughout the day real time. So after you've completed a meal, you can enter in what you've eaten. It has brand information and the amounts that you consume and that sort of thing. And then it reports back to you primarily in a calorie gauge format, how many calories you're consuming throughout the day. What's nice about that is if you have a goal set for yourself, as we did for our participants in the study, of a 1 pound per week, say, weight loss, it will set for you the calories per day that you ought to be consuming to meet that goal.
Oh, I see. Calories only? What if someone was trying to watch their high blood sugar or something like that? Do they have apps for that as well, or is that?
Yeah. Actually, a lot of apps do have that sort of information, which can be useful for some people who are well versed in the numbers of nutrition.
Yeah.
But that can be difficult for a lot of people. Not everybody is a nutrition expert, and so what a lot of apps actually lack is food-based guidance in return. So in terms of dietary quality, how many fruits and vegetables are you consuming? How much in the whole way of whole grains are you consuming? So that can be problematic if you're thinking about weight loss, but also trying to eat a more healthy diet.
So this is basically calories, weight loss focus here.
That's
now, more effective than memo features on computers?
To an extent, and actually it was memo feature on the smartphone
On the
itself.
smartphone, it's okay.
So our contention was, since we're carrying smartphones around all the time for every function in our lives these days, it seemed that it would be more feasible to track your diet using an app in comparison to more traditional dietary self-monitoring tools that we've used for other studies, for example, literally paper and pencil diet logs, or a memo function on your phone. And what we found in the study is that people more consistently actually track their dietary intake using the app compared to other methods.
How did you conduct a study?
Well, we enrolled people who were either overweight or obese, but otherwise weight stable, and we ran them through an 8-week weight loss trial. So we trained them up on the app or on their methods for tracking their diet. We gave them some counseling at the outset, and we let them otherwise go about their days and track their diet throughout the 8 weeks.
Now, I'd imagine, does Lose It also have like advice and those sorts of things, or kind of point you in the right direction? And if so, did the other subjects get that kind of advice?
That's a good question. So in this study, we were primarily interested in the feasibility of using the app. And so there are other functions in the app that people can use, but we were trying to keep people focused on using the calorie gauge in particular. Now, with the other groups, the memo group and the paper and pencil groups, they didn't have any such feedback in terms of a calorie gauge, and so we would send emails to them once a week to help them understand where they were in terms of their intake and what they should be focusing on.
That already sounds more complicated then, doesn't it?
It's slightly more complicated, yeah. But what's interesting about that is, although these weren't significant results, what we saw is that dietary quality actually decreased slightly, trended downwards in the app group, but trended slightly upwards in the other groups that were getting a little bit of counseling. And so while all the groups actually were successful in losing weight, they all lost on average about 4.5 pounds. It was interesting that the dietary quality didn't seem to improve at all with the app.
Why do you think that is?
Well, if people are focused primarily on calories, it's easy to lose weight. Not easy, but it's possible, right, to lose weight. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you improve the quality of what you consume. So you could literally consume, say, 1,800 calories of Snickers bars, right, and actually lose weight. That doesn't mean you're eating a healthy diet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at these results?
I was a little bit surprised. I was expecting to see a little bit more weight loss with the app, just because I thought it might be more convenient for people. We didn't actually see significant differences in weight across groups, but it was a very short-term study, only 8 weeks, so it's possible over a longer period of time there might have been some differentiation. So that's something we hope to follow up on, is to see what happens over longer periods of time.
Did you notice the younger people in the study more applicable to the apps, I should say, and the older folks maybe a little more comfortable with the pen and paper?
There was not, in the end, there wasn't much of an effect when it came to age. Actually, the most important factor was the app itself and using that in comparison to the other methods.
Last question, do you see more dietary apps being developed because of this study and others looking at this kind of thing?
For sure. There's a larger body of literature out there. A lot of people are looking into this. Mobile technology in relation to health is obviously becoming huge. I mean, Apple Watch just came out and it's got all sorts of technology to track health-related information. The difficulty with these sorts of apps is that with physical activity, you can passively track your your actual activity, because you just strap a device on
Right,
and then you
right.
go about your day. With diet, you have to be a lot more rigorous in terms of entering the information. And so if people are looking for apps that are really useful to them, I think they need to be looking both for apps that help them track calories, but also look at diet quality as well.
Interesting. Well, it is an interesting study, and I'm glad we had you here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, it's our monthly look at science news with our old pal, physicist Lawrence Krauss. And we'll hear the story of how a Holocaust survivor is working to promote citizenship. That and more, 5:30 and 10 right here on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.